Hey everyone, let's jump right in. Today, we're going to break down a super important document for anyone working at Rio Rancho Public Schools, the Negotiated Agreement. Think of this as your quick start guide to the official rulebook, the one that really shapes your entire work life. So, let's get into it.
Seriously, just imagine that for a second. What if you had one single book that laid out all the rules, your rights, your schedule, your pay, everything? Something that just took all the guesswork out of your job.
Well, here's the thing. For employees in Rio Rancho, that manual actually exists. And that's exactly what this negotiated agreement is. It's not some stuffy legal thing. It's a practical, everyday tool meant to make everything clear and fair.
So what is it, officially? Well, it's the contract that's hammered out between the district and the union. It is, quite literally, the rulebook for every single person in the bargaining unit. It spells out everything from how problems get solved to how you get paid.
Okay, first up, let's talk about protections. Because, let's be real, sometimes things go wrong. This agreement is basically your first line of defense, making sure there's a fair process if issues come up. So what does that actually look like?
This right here is all about a clear, transparent, and fair process. If there's ever an issue, you're not going to be left in the dark. You have to be told about it quickly. You have the right to have a union rep with you. These conversations are supposed to happen in private, and you absolutely have the right to know what the whole thing is about. The bottom line? No surprises. You're protected.
That brings up a really good question, right? What happens if you feel like a part of this very agreement has been, violated? Well, the contract has a plan for that too.
It's called the grievance procedure, and there are 4 very clear levels. You always start with your direct supervisor. If that doesn't work, the issue moves up the chain of command, all the way to a totally neutral third-party arbitrator whose decision is final. It's a clear, predictable path to get a fair hearing.
All right, let's switch gears and look at how this agreement shapes your actual day-to-day work life. We're talking about the real nuts and bolts of your job, starting with your schedule.
So, the contract gets really specific about how long your workday is. For licensed folks, it's 7.5 hours, and that includes a 30-minute paid duty-free lunch. Now, for full-time non-licensed staff, it's an 8-hour day, plus at least a 30-minute unpaid lunch. That paid versus unpaid distinction is super important.
And it goes beyond just the daily hours. The agreement also nails down the work year, which is usually 190 days, but it can be different depending on your job. Licensed staff are guaranteed a minimum of 180 minutes of planning time every single week. That's 3 hours. And you can't just be pulled into a meeting out of the blue. The contract says you have to be given reasonable notice. These little details really add up to give your week some structure.
All right, now for the section I know everyone's been waiting for: your pay, your leave, and your benefits. This agreement lays out exactly what you earn and the time off you're entitled to.
Let's start with the big headline here. For the 2025-2026 school year, every single employee in the bargaining unit is getting a 4% salary increase. It's right there in the contract. A clear, straightforward raise for everybody. That's huge. Now, let's talk sick leave. How much you get depends on how long your contract is. The longer your work year, the more sick days you earn, from 9 all the way up to 12. And don't forget, you can save up your unused sick leave up to 120 days.
And sick leave is just the beginning. You also get 2 personal days for whatever you need, 3 days for bereavement, and this is key, that don't get taken from your sick time. You get full pay if you have jury duty, and in a really awful situation, there's even up to 20 days of battery leave if you're injured on the job. These are all crucial benefits for when life happens.
So, what about the really big stuff? A major illness or a serious injury that keeps you out for a long, long time, way past what your own sick leave can cover. Well, the agreement has a plan for that, too.
It's called the Sick Leave Bank, and it's pretty amazing. It's a totally voluntary program. You donate just 1 day of your leave to join, and that creates this big pool of days. It's a safety net, so if any member has a catastrophic health issue and runs out of their own time, they can draw from the bank. It really is colleagues helping colleagues.
So as we start to wrap this up, I really want to leave you with one final thought on just how powerful this agreement is and why knowing what's inside it is so important for every single employee. This quote right here from Article 3 says it all. The negotiated agreement is the final word. If there's ever a disagreement between a district policy and what's written in this contract, the contract wins, period. That makes this one of the most powerful tools you have in your career. At the end of the day, this contract is your rulebook, it's your protection, and it's your voice, all written down in one place. It guarantees fairness and clearly defines your job.
So the only question left is, do you know it well enough to use it? I really hope this helped, and I definitely encourage you to check out the full document for yourself. Thanks for tuning in.